Good morning. This is Congressman John Garamendi. It's Thursday morning here in Washington, D.C. About 7 hours ago, the House Armed Services Committee, of which I'm a senior member, finished up its annual National Defense Authorization Act legislation. 62 of us in this committee worked for about 14 hours yesterday to pass a $717 billion piece of legislation to fund the United States Department of Defense. Everything that the Department of Defense does, every piece of equipment that they buy, every member enlisted and officer is affected by what we did yesterday. There are thousands of different issues that we took up. There are probably more than 400 or 500 amendments that were considered by the committee. It's an extraordinarily important piece of legislation because it is about our nation's security. All of the satellites, all of the rockets, all of the airplanes, all of the tanks and guns and armaments, and war. A lot of things that are in the bill that are important, but there's also pieces of the bill that are of extraordinary concern to me. I'm on the Strategic Arms Subcommittee. That's the nuclear weapons. And I'm telling you, as I've said before, we are in the midst of a new nuclear arms race. Not only is it extraordinarily expensive, it'll be over $1 trillion to rebuild all of our nuclear bombs, more than 4,000 of them, all of the rockets, all of the submarines and airplanes and things that go with it. But the real problem is that these new delivery systems are extraordinarily stealthy. They are specifically designed not to be seen. Now, while we're building these, so is Russia and China. It's a very dangerous nuclear arms race because we don't know what will happen. And add to that the next war will begin in space, where there are very, very few ways to protect our ability to observe what China, Russia, Iran, or anybody else is doing. So I'm deeply concerned about what is happening here. And one other thing that was small but extremely important was provisions in the bill that really make it difficult to maintain our current arms control treaties. The Intermediate Nuclear Weapons Treaty, this New START Treaty. Unfortunately, my Republican colleagues are trying to terminate those important treaties that provide us with an opportunity to observe what Russia is doing and to reduce the number of weapons that are out there. We're going to continue to work on this. This was the most important step, but not the last step in the process of deciding what our military will do and how much money they will have to spend on it. We'll have a floor vote. We'll do some additional amendments trying to deal with the problems. And then ultimately we'll have a conference committee. I've served on the last 3 conference committees, and I suspect I'll do it again. And I'll do my best to try to make sure that we have an adequate military that is well-funded, but is smart, that possesses the wisdom necessary to use our awesome power to the very best purpose, the purpose of peace. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the opportunity to do the work and to carry on here in this extremely important committee, the House Armed Services Committee, as a senior member.